You could be eating well, staying active, and even sleeping a full 8 hours, but still feel like your brain isn't quite keeping up. Words slip away. You forget why you walked into a room. And sometimes, that mental fog makes everything just a little harder, even things you've done 100 times before. Here's the surprising part. The fix might not be more coffee, crossword puzzles, or even more sleep. It might come down to something much smaller, something you can't see or feel until you're running low. And for many adults over 60, it happens more often than you'd think. The question is, what helps more? Vitamin B12 or omega-3s? They both support your brain. They're both recommended for older adults. But when it comes to forgetfulness, fogginess, and memory loss, which one truly makes the difference? If you're over 60 and care about staying sharp, independent, and in control of your daily life, this is something worth knowing. Brain fog and memory lapses don't always mean something serious is wrong, but they can signal that your brain needs a little extra support. And the sooner you understand what it's missing, the easier it becomes to feel like yourself again. That's where vitamin B12 and omega-3s come in. These aren't trendy supplements or new health fads. They're essential nutrients your brain relies on to function, especially as you age. But most people don't know which one their brain actually needs, or what happens when you're low on either. If that sounds helpful, consider subscribing. It doesn't cost a thing. And we share health tips every week to help you feel your best at every age. Number 1. The real reason brain fog happens. More after 60. Let's start with something many older adults don't hear enough about: why brain fog actually gets worse with age, even if you're healthy. Picture your brain like a bustling train station. Every thought, every memory, every bit of focus, it's all trains arriving and leaving on time. Now imagine if some of the signals between stations started to fade. Not enough power, a little delay here, a little mix-up there. That's what low B12 or omega-3 levels can do to your brain's network. And here's why it matters more after 60. Your body doesn't absorb nutrients the same way it used to. Your stomach acid naturally declines, making it harder to extract B12 from food. And unless you're regularly eating fatty fish like salmon or sardines, it's easy to fall short on omega-3s too. Even small deficiencies can lead to big effects, especially in the brain. That's because both B12 and omega-3s protect the myelin sheath, the outer coating that helps your brain's messages travel faster and more clearly. When that sheath starts to break down, messages slow, signals weaken, and that fog you feel, that's your brain struggling to keep up. So even if you're doing all the right things, sleeping well, exercising, staying social, low levels of these nutrients can still affect how clearly you think, how quickly you recall information, and how well you focus during the day. For some people, it feels like aging, but in reality, it might be something more manageable than they realize. Number 2, B12, the silent brain booster. Now, let's zoom in on vitamin B12, often called the energy vitamin, though its real power lies in how it supports brain and nerve function. If you've ever felt a mix of tiredness, forgetfulness, or even mood changes, there's a chance low B12 could be part of the picture. It helps your brain make red blood cells, maintain nerve cells, and produce DNA. But what's especially important is how it helps make neurotransmitters. These are the chemical messengers that let your brain cells talk to each other, the same ones responsible for memory, focus, and even emotional balance. Here's the thing. B12 deficiency is surprisingly common in adults over 60. Your ability to absorb it from food goes down with age, especially if you take medications like metformin or antacids, or have conditions like gastritis or low stomach acid. That means you could be eating plenty of B12-rich foods, like eggs, dairy, or meat, but still not be getting enough. And when that happens, the symptoms can sneak up on you. You might start forgetting appointments, struggle to find the right word, feel a little unsteady on your feet, or feel off in a way that's hard to describe. And because these symptoms build slowly, they're often mistaken for aging. But here's the hopeful part. When caught early, low B12 is easy to correct. And the changes? They can be noticeable, sometimes within just a few weeks. In fact, many older adults who start supplementing B12 describe a sudden lift, like someone turned the lights back on. Number 3, omega-3s, the brain's natural armor. Now let's talk about omega-3s, often associated with heart health, but just as vital for the brain. Think of omega-3 fatty acids like the oil in a finely tuned engine. They keep everything running smoothly by reducing inflammation, improving blood flow, and supporting the structure of brain cells. And as you age, that kind of support becomes essential, not optional. One particular type of omega-3, called DHA, makes up a major part of the brain's physical structure. It's found in the membranes that wrap around brain cells, helping them stay flexible and function properly. If B12 is about signal strength, DHA is about keeping the wires strong and intact. Low levels of DHA have been linked to slower thinking, poor concentration, and even higher risks of cognitive decline over time. That's especially important for older adults, because the body becomes less efficient at making or storing omega-3s with age. And unless you're eating fatty fish 2 to 3 times a week, chances are you're not getting enough through diet alone. Unlike B12, which you can get from animal products or fortified foods, most omega-3s come from seafood. Salmon, mackerel, sardines, these are the heavy hitters. But for people who avoid fish or just don't eat it often, omega-3 deficiency can go unnoticed for years. And here's where it gets tricky. There are no obvious early symptoms. You don't feel low on omega-3 the way you might feel low on energy or vitamins. Instead, the signs show up gradually. A little more forgetfulness, a harder time focusing, maybe even changes in mood or sleep. It's subtle until it's not. What the research says about B12 versus omega-3 for brain health. So, now we understand what both nutrients do. But which one is better when it comes to brain fog and memory? Well, the truth is, it depends on what your brain is missing. A fascinating study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adults over 60 with low B12 levels performed worse on memory tests. But when they were given high-dose B12 supplements over several months, their cognitive scores improved significantly. They felt sharper, quicker, and more mentally present. But another study, published in Neurology, showed that seniors with higher levels of omega-3s, especially DHA, had bigger brain volumes and performed better on tasks involving memory and attention. In fact, researchers observed that low DHA levels were associated with more brain shrinkage, even in people who hadn't yet shown signs of dementia. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Some studies show that omega-3s actually help B12 work better. In other words, your brain might need both, and using them together could be more powerful than either one alone. That's something most people don't realize. These aren't competing nutrients, they're complementary tools. Like glasses and sunlight, each helps in different ways, but together they offer clearer vision. What this means for older adults. Right now. So what does all this science mean for your everyday life? Let's say you've been feeling mentally foggy, a little more forgetful. You're misplacing your phone, struggling to focus on books, or taking longer to recall familiar names. Maybe you chalked it up to age, or stress, or poor sleep. That's understandable. But if you're over 60, those brain changes could be your body's way of saying, "Hey, I need a little help here." And before jumping to scary conclusions or feeling defeated, checking your nutrient levels is a smart, proactive first step. Many doctors will test your B12 levels with a simple blood draw. And while omega-3 testing is less common, it's still available, especially if memory, mood, or cognitive changes are a concern. You don't have to guess or self-diagnose. Even more encouraging, both B12 and omega-3 supplements are safe, affordable, and easy to find. They don't require major lifestyle overhauls or complex routines. And for many older adults, just bringing levels back into the healthy range can make a world of difference in how they think, feel, and function day to day. Imagine waking up and feeling clear, not just rested, but mentally awake. You remember the conversation from last night. You find the word you're looking for without the usual pause. You feel steady, capable, like yourself again. That's what brain-supporting nutrients can help restore, not by doing something magical, but by giving your brain what it's been missing. You might have heard people say, if you're eating a balanced diet, you don't need supplements. But for older adults, that advice doesn't always hold up. Dr. Christine Bailey, a clinical nutritionist specializing in aging, puts it this way. Many seniors are eating all the right foods but still falling short. Not because they're doing anything wrong, but because nutrient absorption changes with age. You can't always eat your way to ideal levels after 60. That's where targeted support becomes essential. And here's a common myth. If I'm not feeling tired, my B12 must be fine. But the truth is, fatigue is just one symptom. Many people with low B12 feel mentally foggy before they ever feel physically tired. The same goes for omega-3s. You won't feel low in the moment, but over time, it can affect everything from memory to your risk of cognitive decline. That's why identifying the right supplement for your needs, rather than guessing, is the smarter path. So, which one does your brain need most? Where does this leave us? Should you be focusing on vitamin B12 or omega-3s? Here's the honest answer. It's not a competition. It's about knowing what your brain is asking for. If your memory feels slower, your focus has slipped, or you just feel off, your body might be sending signals, not of aging, but of imbalance. And here's the empowering part. Both B12 and omega-3s offer a different kind of support. B12 is all about signal clarity, helping your brain fire messages cleanly and quickly. Omega-3s are about structure and protection, keeping the brain's wiring strong, flexible, and nourished. Think of it like this. B12 is the electricity. Omega-3s are the insulation. You need both for the system to run smoothly. What does this mean for your daily life? It means that small, smart changes, like checking your nutrient levels or adjusting how you supplement, might have a bigger effect on your brain than you ever expected, especially if you're over 60, when these deficiencies tend to show up more often. How to get started, safely and simply. Let's say you want to take action, but you're not sure where to start. Here's a simple roadmap. First, talk to your doctor about testing. Ask for a serum B12 test and, if possible, an omega-3 index test. These are straightforward and can tell you a lot about where you stand. If testing isn't an option right now, pay close attention to how you're feeling. Are you struggling to stay focused even after a good night's sleep? Forgetting appointments, names, or conversations more often? Feeling more anxious, low, or foggy than usual? Getting dizzy, unsteady, or tingly in your hands and feet? These might be clues that your brain needs nutritional support. If you do choose to supplement, start slow and simple. For vitamin B12, most experts recommend 1,000 micrograms per day in the form of methylcobalamin or cyanocobalamin. B12 is water-soluble, so any excess is flushed out, making it very safe for most people. For omega-3s, look for a supplement with at least 250 to 500 milligrams of DHA and EPA combined, ideally from fish oil or algae oil, for a plant-based option. Take it with food to boost absorption, and yes, you can take both together. In fact, many older adults benefit from doing just that. One small but powerful tip: be consistent. These aren't quick fixes. They support your brain over time. Give it at least 4 to 8 weeks before evaluating how you feel. For some, the changes come sooner. For others, it's more gradual, like mental clouds lifting one by one. And if you're already taking these nutrients but not noticing much, check your dosage, check the form, or talk to your provider about timing or interactions. Sometimes just tweaking one detail can unlock the benefits you've been waiting for. You're not losing it. You're gaining insight. Aging doesn't mean you have to accept forgetfulness, fog, or mental fatigue. It doesn't mean you're losing your mind or that you've peaked. What it means is this: your body and your brain is changing. And when it speaks, through little slips in memory or shifts in focus, it's not failing. It's communicating, asking for something. And you have the power to listen and respond in ways that make a real difference. You don't need to feel stuck or helpless or unsure. With just a few small steps, like checking your B12 levels, adding more omega-3s to your routine, or simply tuning into how you feel, you can support your brain in ways that last, because your memory matters, your clarity matters. And staying mentally sharp isn't just about remembering names. It's about staying connected to your world, your independence, and your sense of self. So whether it's B12, omega-3s, or both, this isn't just about supplements. It's about giving your brain what it needs to keep up with you. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing. We share practical, science-backed health tips every week made just for adults over 60 to help you feel clearer, stronger, and more confident every day. Thanks for spending time with us today. Take good care of yourself, and we'll see you next time.